Hi, this is Matthew again. Today, I wanted to discuss how the illegal immigration crisis is impacting and will impact our public education system. This video is the third of a three-part video series on the cost of illegal immigration on our school system. This video will cover some specific recommendations for what we should be doing about the immigration crisis in America as it relates to the public school system. With the United States facing an unprecedented crisis at the southern border since President Biden took office and began systemically ending all enforcement of our immigration laws, the country's interior is paying the price. Local schools have been forced to absorb tens of thousands of new students every month, most of whom are designated as LEP. Even more difficult, these schools have no warning of when these new students will arrive and therefore are unable to plan or budget for their education. This is a major reason for the inefficient systems and severe teacher shortages that were thoroughly detailed in previous videos. Securing the border and enforcing our laws will stem the tide of illegal immigration into the country, therefore offering school districts a desperately needed break from the ever-growing stream of new students entering the country. Easy reforms include, first, re-implementing the migrant protection protocols, which drastically reduced asylum abuse at the southern border. President Biden formally ended the program on June 1, 2021. As a result, apprehensions at the southern border surged into historically unprecedented territory and have remained there ever since. 2. End catch and release. One of the first actions of the Biden administration was to re-implement the Obama-era practice of releasing apprehended illegal aliens into the country's interior instead of detaining them, as the law requires until it is determined if they were subject to removal from the country. In an unprecedented move, the administration even started releasing illegal aliens into the country without notice to appear before an immigration judge. The prospect of being freely released into the country with little risk of deportation is a huge draw for more illegal immigrants. 3. Re-implement rapid processing programs. Before it was stalled by activist courts until former President Trump left office, these programs provided expedited processing of certain aliens arriving in the United States. These aliens all received due process as required by the law and, if appropriate, were placed in immigration court proceedings within days to rapidly hear and resolve their cases instead of letting them remain in limbo for years. Reinstating this program would deter future illegal immigration and help lighten the massive backlog of immigration cases that currently exist. 4. Secure the border. Another move made by the Biden administration immediately upon taking office was to end the construction of the southern border wall. Not only was there a resulting increase in illegal border crossings, but also illegal aliens, human smugglers, and cartel members started using the construction of access roads as a highway system into the United States with little effort by the administration to stop them. Walls work. When an effective border wall was constructed in the late 1990s along the southern border in the San Diego sector, apprehensions decreased by 80% almost immediately. Other areas that constructed effective border walls have experienced similar success. 5. Another step that can be taken is to overturn the Plyler v. Doe decision. The Supreme Court's decision in Plyler is currently interpreted to require that states educate illegal aliens and the children of illegal aliens, regardless of tax contributions from their families. Since federal money only covers approximately 1% of education costs for LEP students, this decision created one of the largest unfunded mandates ever enacted by the U.S. government. Free education, like welfare handouts, is attractive to illegal aliens. And, since illegal alien families operate at a significant net financial burden to taxpayers, this means that citizens and lawful migrants pay for the entirety of their education. Local taxpayers should not be required to pay for the education of individuals who are in the country only because the federal government failed, or is willfully declining, to enforce our immigration laws. The opinion in Plyler incorrectly asserted that removing free education for illegal aliens would fail to disincentive illegal immigration into the country, and therefore the state of Texas couldn't claim that taxpayer cost was a compelling reason to withhold state funds from educating illegal aliens. 52 On the contrary, there is ample evidence that shows that when states or the federal government offer new benefits to illegal aliens including education benefits, there is a corresponding surge in additional illegal immigration. States and localities should examine their education costs to determine the impact of illegal immigration on their ability to properly educate citizens. States, local school districts, and even some families may find that they have standing to file a federal lawsuit based on the damages that are attributable to illegal immigration. Such lawsuits, as they progress, could lead to an eventual clash in the U.S. Supreme Court over some of the wrongly decided issues raised in Plyler. Based on the facts, Plyler was incorrectly decided and should therefore be overturned, or at least reformed. States should not be forced by the federal government to allocate local taxpayer funding to provide benefits to illegal aliens. Instead, If the federal government deems it inappropriate for states to require that the families of illegal aliens pay tuition for their children to receive a public education, then Congress should allocate federal funding to states to cover such a mandate. Another step that can be taken is to amend the William Wilberforce Trafficking Victims Protection Reauthorization Act. Originally designed to protect victims of human trafficking from possibly falling back into the hands of cartel members and smugglers, the 2008 Wilberforce Trafficking Act had honorable intentions that have since been hijacked as an avenue to resettle hundreds of thousands of WAMs inside the United States. This act must be reformed in a manner that allows the United States to process WAMs and reunite them with their families outside the U.S. in an expedited manner while simultaneously protecting victims of human trafficking. Additionally, it should be reformed to treat all WAMs equally regardless of their country of origin. FAIR recommends reforms like those included in the Protection of Children Act of 2015, which would have closed the loopholes in the original act preventing the reunification of WAMs with their parents or relatives residing in their home country. Last, we should end chain migration. Chain migration occurs when an immigrant sponsors other family members for admission, who can then sponsor their family members, and so on. The current chain migration policies in the United States do not require migrants to speak English, exhibit any ability to assimilate into the country, or possess occupational skills that are currently needed in the United States. Failure to learn English is the entire reason for the LEP crisis facing our public school system. Replacing chain migration with a merit-based system, such as that proposed by the RAISE Act, would go a long way in solving this crisis by favoring immigrants who have the skills needed to succeed and contribute to the U.S. economy, including at least basic English proficiency. While the RAISE Act would not specifically require that the children of immigrants be fluent in English, situations where a parent fluently speaks English, but their children do not are quite rare. I hope this gives you a better idea of what can be done to reduce the issues with the local governments paying for the education of the high volume of immigrants. It is a crime that the Biden administration played on the American public. Opening the borders is a political stunt that will cause permanent damage to our educational system and the long-term growth of our country. Hope that the next administration will correct some of the regulations that are currently in place and also begin to deport the immigrants that came in as a result of the Biden administration's policies. I also hope that all those members of the Biden administration who took part in this refusal to protect our country are prosecuted. It is the job of the executive branch to carry out the laws on the books. If people don't like the laws, they need to be changed. The Biden administration took the laws into their own hands, and they need to be prosecuted for it. If you want more information about the immigration crisis or other issues that are impacting our culture, go to the Nehemiah Reset website at nehemiahreset.org or our rumble.com channel. Have a great day.